What's good, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, man. My name is Tequila, and today is the last day of the XDefiant open beta. So with that being said, I kind of want to just go over what settings I've been using, what I found that works for me. Keep in mind that I am on controller on PC. Not sure if it's relevant to you at all, but take that with a grain of salt. Here's what I use. Everything's subject to change for your personal play style, your equipment as well. But let's get started. So you'll see that the gameplay input is locked. I know this has bothered some people, but there is a little workaround where you can go into your documents, like your actual PC files, and you can change just one little number from 0 to 1. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I can try to describe how to do that later. But I like to max out my field of view. Not only does it give the full picture of everything around you and you're a little bit more aware of your surroundings, it also makes it to where you have less visual recoil on all your guns, so it just makes you a lot more accurate. The ADS field of view I have it set on consistent, and this just means whenever you're actually aiming down your sights, you still have that broadened field of view, so you can see if anybody is coming up on you. It also is what gives you the less visual recoil. If you have this set to independent, then as soon as you aim down sight, you have the normal field of view, so your gun may jump around a little bit more. It's also keeps your aiming a bit more cohesive. So as you're aiming not ADS'd, you have one speed, and then if you have it set to independent, when you aim down sight, it's entirely different. ADS behavior I have set to hold. I feel like that's just the easiest. That's what everybody does, right? You want to have your instant for sensitivity transition. This means basically as soon as you aim down sight, it instantly gives you your ADS sensitivity, which we'll talk about in just a second. I like to have the melee on during ADS. This just gives you a little bit more control over your character. If somebody rushes you as you're shooting, like with your SMG per se, then you can just whack them if they get too close. Whereas if you don't have this on and you're aim down sights, you have to break the ADS and then melee, so by that point you've already lost the advantage anyway. Aiming interrupts reload. This gives you a nice little reload animation cancel that is severely lacking in Call of Duty. Take notes, Activision. Really easy to have this feature added to a game. I think it makes a huge difference. Toggle crouch sprint behavior on tap, although I do have the auto sprint turned on. I think a really nifty feature with XDefiant is having your auto sprint threshold. And what this is, the description shows the percentage of the stick input to trigger auto sprint. So basically, if you want to still walk forward, then you just hold your stick slightly forward, and it'll allow you to creep forward. And then whenever you want to just actually auto sprint, instead of having to click your left stick, so my left thumbstick is actually jammed, so I either play auto sprint or no auto sprint, or I just can't sprint at all. So this still gives me the option to walk versus auto sprint while going forward. I don't have my sprint interrupting my reload, so that way if I still need to move forward, I don't want to accidentally hold the thumbstick too far forward, and that's what cancels my reload, especially if I have like 3 shots left in a magazine and I'm trying to move forward. I don't want to cancel that reload because then I might not notice, which has definitely happened to me quite a few times. Slide on tap just allows for more consistent movement, allows you to really go further when you're sliding under those ledges without actually having to hold the slide button. I think it's just a bit more cohesive. Auto reload weapon I have on yes, just so that way when I hit 0 there's less of a delay. Auto switch weapon I would usually recommend to have on no, but this is if you're entirely out of ammo altogether, then it'll just automatically pull your secondary out for you. I don't like having auto grab ledge on. I feel like it's really clunky, kind of just gets in my own way more often than it helps. And I have walk behavior set to no. To be honest with you, I haven't really messed with this one way or another. I think no is just the easiest one to leave it on. Whoa, let's see. I haven't adjusted the HUD limits or anything like that. I've just left all of that as basic. I do think having the damage numbers and the enemy health bars on is pretty huge. That's some pretty vital information I don't think you really want to miss out on, to let you know how much you're winning each firefight, if you need to pop back into cover or whatnot. And I also don't rotate my minimap either. It's just what I've done on previous games. It was a lot easier for me. I'm not playing this game on mouse and keyboard. I do Apex and Call of Duty at the moment on mouse and keyboard, but controller's just so much so much easier in most first-person shooter games, unless you want to really spend a lot of time practicing and fine-tuning your aiming and aim training. I'm grown, I work, I got a baby on the way. I ain't got time for all that, man. I've got 20 years of controller versus 2 years of mouse and keyboard, and I still fat finger things a lot. So anyways, I'm on controller. I use skill thumb brawler. I think is a really interesting button layout, but basically it allows me to have my jump on LB, so I don't have to take my right thumb off of my aiming thing. So whenever you see people like kind of bunny hopping around in the middle of engagements, this is what allows you to do that a lot easier, in my opinion, unless you have back paddles. I just have a standard Xbox controller at the moment. It also swaps your melee and your crouch as well, so that way you can just slide and jump whenever you need to without having to move your right stick at all, which I think is pretty huge. So anyways, I use skill thumb brawler. That's what's kind of worked for me. It's very similar to, I think, like button puncher or something like that on Apex. Anyways, I use the default stick layout. I don't mess with that. Having standard aim assist versus disabled is obviously I think a no-brainer if you're playing on controller. I don't lower any of the aim assist at all. It's already a bit more of a wonky aim assist in this game. I think sometimes it feels really sticky, sometimes it feels like you lag behind a little bit, but I think that's just getting adjusted to the game since itself. So anyways, leave this maxed out at 0. You don't really want to have a negative value unless your individual tracking and stuff is just goated like that. But whatever. Aim response curve type. I think this is definitely shooter's preference. I've been using reverse S curve. This is pretty similar, I think, to dynamic in Call of Duty and Apex. I don't know. Feels nice. You can try out whatever one you want on that. I don't think there's really a right answer, but me personally, I use the reverse S curve. I do use 0.6 and 0.7 as my ADS sensitivity multiplier. I think it's important to remember that this is a multiplier, so depending on how high you've raised your individual horizontal and vertical sensitivity, it's a multiplier based on that, right? So the game starts out on 25 by 25 for your sensitivity with a 1.0 on here. First game on that felt immediately too slow, so I rose both of these up to 50, and I lowered these down to 0.5, and then I've kind of just been tinkering with it as I go, trying to find out what's my sweet spot, and I've kind of settled on 45 and 40, and then 0.6 and 0.7. So tinker around as you need to, but I think it's a really good starting point. Acceleration speed multiplier, don't really worry about that. That's just what allows you to aim faster if you hold your right stick all the way to the right versus all the way to the not all the way, I guess. If you want to have like more fine-tuned aiming, you can lower this down some, but really I think that just comes down to stick control. You mess around with this one too much and you might get some inconsistencies in aiming when you get down to like the more chaotic situations. Dead zone is always going to be specific to your controller, so what I would recommend doing is start out the game with 0-0 and then just go up by 1 each time until you see that you're not aiming off to the side without touching the right stick, and your character's also not drifting left or right. So at the moment I'm on 8.8. I don't have any stick drift while I have that on. Audio and voice chat, this is all your preference. I like to have a little bit of the music volume on just because I don't personally mind it. I like that it creates a little ambiance feel, if you will. Sound effects volume should probably have turned all the way up. I'm old, man. My hearing's a little bit sensitive. I don't need the gunshots going off full speed. I think I can hear the footsteps just fine either way. I don't overly rely on directional hearing for the most part. A lot of times I play the game without a headset on and just have the sound coming through my sound bar anyway. So play around with that if you need to. Most people will just have this at 100 though. And this is all just whatever you want to do. Video and graphics though. I'm playing on a 2080 Super, so you might need to change things as you needed. I've, for the most part, kept all of this the same. I haven't really had any lags, any stuttering. I don't really experience any screen tearing or crashing like that. So if you can play on ultra and all high, you might as well. I think a lot of people recommend just having your shadows turned off It'll allow some more consistent lighting. Turning the fog off will probably help you out as well. But again, I don't really have too much of an issue with this game. It has the nice little function of it highlights the enemies red when they appear on your screen anyway, so for the most part I don't have any issues, and I don't want to introduce any more visual clutter than is necessary. So at the moment I'm playing on high. Lower these as you need to save yourself some GPU space, but you know, it is what it is. So those are basically the settings that I'm playing on at the moment. Just wanted to share those before the beta goes away. If you're new to the game and you're looking at like a start point, I guess most people are probably looking for what sensitivities they want to use, and I don't know, those are my sweet spots right there. I think the reverse S curve is just really, for me, it's really sticky. It says it good for players who prioritize mobility. I'm coming straight from mouse and keyboard, so I do like to move around quite a bit, and this allows me to do so. There's my settings. Feel free to copy them as you like. I did want to also add that the main faction that I'm playing at the moment is Phantoms. I've spent a little bit of time on each one of these. The second most time I probably have is the Libertad, but I don't know, I think Phantoms is just really nice. If you get into like a close one-on-one firefight, you already have 20 additional health, and then you can also throw down your shield to give you mobile cover that you can also shoot out of, which I didn't realize like the first 3 games that your shield you can shoot through. I'm silly for that, but anyways, those are my settings. That's my favorite faction at the moment. I appreciate you watching this. If you stayed long this whole time, whatever, I stutter a lot, I love you, I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend. Peace.